we're in. So we'll dive into that as well. All right, so why social media? So there are a ton of reasons to use social media. So here are just a few stats on that. So 91% of retail brands use at least 2 social media platforms. So that can be anywhere from Facebook to Instagram to LinkedIn. It really just depends on the goals of the brand. 90% of buyers trust peer recommendations, and we'll get into that a little bit more in the tips portion in terms of reviews and things like that. 90% of millennials actively use social media, and 90% of users reach out to retailers through their social media platforms. So that's where it comes in as being so important to be active on those platforms. And then 3.5 billion users are on social media daily. And I can only imagine that that increases in a virtual environment and also throughout the holiday season. So that is something to think about as well. So your customers are absolutely on social media. So learning how to optimize your profile and engage with your consumers will be very important. All right, so how do we optimize your social media? So we'll be going through a series of tips. So tip number 1 is just to make sure your profile is complete. So making sure your customers are able to get information pretty easily is important. People rely really heavily on social media platforms to find information that they need, some quick hit information, but also they want to know what services and products you can provide. So when you're thinking about filling out your profile, some things to think about, keeping updated, especially as your hours might change and things like that, are going to be when you're open, where you're located, especially if you have multiple locations, your website URL, so people can get more information that might not be available on social media, and then your service offerings or your product offerings. So actually on Facebook, there is a dedicated space for this. So that can be really helpful. And then on Instagram, you can get a little bit more unique in how you put that on there, whether it be in your bio or through your post that you share. So many ways to do that. Tip number 2, make it easy for your audience to participate. So social media is a dialogue. So it's important that as a business owner and as you are on social media, that your page is approachable and accessible. So your followers are really looking to feel known, feel cared for, feel heard through these platforms. So just keeping that dialogue open is really important. And personality matters to your audience. So nobody really loves being talked to. They would rather you talk with them. So just keep that in mind. And there's so many ways to engage on social media, whether it be through comments or direct messaging. So always be very available through that regard. And then also if you ever get any, hopefully not, but if you ever were to get any like negative comments or things like that, we do recommend that you take those on and, respond to them, because other people that see those will be happy that, you're a company that can take that and answer to it and want to make sure your customers are happy. So tip number 3 is in regards to content. So write content that's worth sharing. And what we mean by that is just to make sure you're adding value to your customers and adding some dimension to the post that you're sharing so that they want to share it with their followers and their friends. And relevant content is going to be shared more often and get you additional exposure. So things that really show who you are as a small business owner or a business owner, and what people can expect if they were to come to you. And then also things like products and services that you offer are great pieces of content to share on social media. Tip number 4, be entertaining, informative, and most importantly, genuine. Companies that are ranked outstanding in brand awareness use humor and really just show their personality, opposed to just ranking as average in brand awareness. And then always provide something of value. That's going to be the best way to break through the communication clutter on social media, especially as we head into the busy season. There's going to be a lot going on social media. So just think about that and think about ways that you can set yourself apart and really stand out among your customers. All right, so tip number 5, acknowledge and recognize your audience. So we kind of touched on this a little bit with the 90% of buyers trust peer recommendations. So social media really is virtual networking. So using that to your advantage is really important. And if you connect with your audience online, they will truly become your brand advocate. So with reviews and recommendations, you can get a lot more connections and audience based on who that post can reach when people are sharing and engaging with that. All right, and then our final tip here is going to be tip number 6. So just remember to integrate all of your marketing efforts. So all of your online content should complement your brand. So when you get down to like the nitty gritty of making sure you're using your brand colors on social media, all the way to using the same voice across multiple platforms is going to be really important. So posting on multiple channels allows people to truly interact with you on the platform they choose. So as we all know, people have favorite social media platforms. So being reachable on all of them is going to be important. So whether that be Facebook or Instagram, LinkedIn, really whatever makes sense for your brand, just making sure you are active on the platforms you choose so people can get that information easily. All right, so there are so many social media platforms out there. I think the biggest thing, if we can give any advice, is to just pick the one that makes sense for your business. You guys are all so busy, so it's important to not try to do every social media platform, just do the ones that make the most sense for your brand. So whether that be Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Pinterest, there's really so many to choose from. So, just find the ones that you think your audience are going to be on most actively and connect with them there. And as I mentioned before, these are all great tips for as we head into the holiday season, as we're in a more virtual environment, but it's really going to be important throughout the entire year. So I hope these tips can be helpful for you really forever. And thank you guys so much. That concludes my portion of this meeting.
Awesome. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So we will hold some questions. Our other hot seat attendee is not here, so we will start with Amanda from Beasties. And I'll let Nat do just a little intro and then kind of take it from there.
Yeah, I'm not gonna give much of an intro other than I started this back before social media was really a thing, back in the 2000s, before even before Instagram. So hopefully I'm not showing my age when I say before Instagram. So y'all like, before Instagram, what's before Instagram? So we started in 2008 actually as a social media training company, because I thought we could just teach people, they could just do it, and realized it got much more involved in that. But today I want to share with you a concept and give you some PEP, okay? And PEP stands for people, engagement, and pay to play. Again, people, engagement, and pay to play, and piggyback on some of the things that Mackenzie said. First, people. This is social media, okay? So you have to be social. There's people involved. So am I able to share my screen, Joelle?
Yes, you are.
Awesome. All right. And so I've pulled up Beasties. There you go. Let me open up a little bit. Okay, this is your Instagram and your Facebook. So let me start with the Instagram. We talked about the first thing, right? What's the first thing I said? What's the first letter? This is the engagement part that we're going to get to in a second. Anybody?
People.
All right, people. So let's take a look at this. Well, I know you want to feature your products, and that's awesome. You got some great, we talked about photography, some great photography. All right. No, I don't want to switch accounts. I got a lot of accounts I have to get into. So continue. Hopefully it stays there. So let's take a look. Let's look at, without even having to open them, okay? 29, 13, 7. If there's any ones, I was going to get one with people in it. I thought there was.
Go down towards the beginning of the pandemic. There were more people there, but I get better.
Video is
engagement.
great too, by the way.
Yeah.
So if you notice, it's higher as far as the likes goes. So you can instantly see just from scanning that people get you more interaction.
What about that cat though?
I was gonna say, and pets and animals.
Yes, people and pets, and I can throw another P in there. Maybe it's P squared on the first one. Oh, people in video? Goodness. Yes, and I'm a big fan of video as well. So yes, you want to sprinkle that in, okay?
But not necessarily every post have a person or a pet, but sprinkle those in between.
Yeah, so a great book that I read years ago by Gary Vaynerchuk is Jab, 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 Right Hook. So you wanna give some information or value in some way, but you want to give some massive value. You want to give a big ask on that right hook, okay? So it's okay to actually do something really amazing so that you can give something of value in there, okay? Whether it's an offer or a coupon, those things. Get some call to actions in there. You know, a lot of folks say, hey, you don't want to be too salesy, and I agree with you, but every once in a while, it's okay to put an offer out there, especially if you're in retail. You know, you may not have any tips or anything on a regular basis. Is
Nat,
something?
Nat, if you were to put a percentage on there, I mean, you know, 1 out of 10, would you have an offer, or 1 out of 5? I mean, do you have a percent number to throw down?
I could say I'm safely 1 out of 5, and it just depends on your audience. Just the best thing about social media is you have your own focus group, so you can try different things. All right, test it out. If you do it 1 out of 4, 1 out of 5, and all of a sudden you see a big dip, then maybe you need to have some more space in between. But again, it's all. What is the value, okay? If you want them to really engage, think about what is the value of that. So if it's a tip, then that's great. That's a great value. Or a recipe, whatever the case may be. But if it's an offer, how compelling is that offer? I have people say, oh, I'm going to give a 10% offer, and this is like during the holiday season, right? That's not a big value to somebody in that context. It may be great in the middle of the summer, or when they're not expecting. But again, Mackenzie mentioned value. Your perceived value may be different than your audience's perceived value. Okay. And let's look at your Facebook real quick. Okay. Again, can we see here? If there's any votings, anything that you have for voting, usually does well because you're getting people engaged, right? That's the E, engagement. You're asking people to do something. And Facebook's been really tough on just general organic, which leads me to the last part. Oh, this one I love is the shares. If you can get a lot of shares, that's kind of the holy grail of metrics that we think in social media, because everybody has an influence of about at least 250 people. So if you can get them to share that, that's really scalable, okay? So get them to share, get them, maybe even give them an incentive to share those things. All right. There's different tools out there that we don't have too much time to get into. And then the last thing is, do you post it, or did you boost at all or do any paid post?
Yeah, we have a paid one going on right now that features the front of the store, so and drives people to go to our website.
Okay. Yeah, definitely sprinkle in. It's not too cost prohibitive, I don't think. I mean, a $5 boost will take you far, especially if you are already getting some traction on those posts. I would encourage you to keep boosting those because you're getting mind share out there. All right. Some of it is going to be branding. You may not see any direct correlation to those things. And that's the 3 phases. So again, people or pets, that's true too. And get engagement, whether it's something of value as far as tips, recipes, ideas, offers. And then the last part is you do have to pay to play now. Back before 2010-ish, you could just play to play, but now it's definitely a pay to play scenario. But I do love the videos. Earlier on, keep doing those videos. Down on the bottom here, and you saw the difference in engagement, right? Where was it? Yeah, you saw the difference in engagement when you had video. And that's just a real high level hot seat there. Any questions about that, or does anybody actually have any other points in there that they liked, or maybe she could do a little better?
I have a question because I know engagement's definitely a weak spot for us, and you're right, the video. I always say, oh, you know, who has time to throw together the video? You're absolutely right. We had better engagement when we were doing this. It is posing a question something that's helpful? You know, I know we talked about polls and things like that, but is that like a pretty common, you should ask a question in each time that you're actually doing your comment? I think that's where I struggle.
Questions are great, and don't be discouraged if your question doesn't get any engagement. Again, just put it out there. Everybody's always afraid of not or putting too much out there. With the algorithms the way they are, you can't have too much content. Maybe, I don't know, 10 times a day, it might be too much. But if you do 2 times a day and if it's relevant, it's fine. Just put it out there. Don't be afraid to test is what I would encourage you to think through.
So kind of along those same lines, do you think it's damaging to your social media presence to remove posts that don't get traction? So like we're like social media idiots on our over at Tempered Coffee. So you know, we like if we put a question out there and there's like 1 comment and 1 like, and it's like, you know, I would say that looks worse when people get like, if later they look there, and I would just take it off. But some of our followers might see it be there and then see it be gone and be like, you know. So do you think do you have an opinion on that?
If you want to pull it, that's fine. I think I kind of agree with you. If you don't get engagement on it, I've pulled YouTube videos like that because it's like, oh, this video was not going to, especially if the date is old, I actually pull it. So here's the thing is people start doing something like that or giving you feedback of why did you do that? That's good. Mm-hmm. Most of us, you know, even myself, are in more obscurity than not. Meaning, if you're getting pushback or some feedback or that might be a little negative, that's probably a good thing. I'm not saying it, you know, you want a ton of it, but that means people are actually paying attention.
So in other words, maybe post a question today, Trump or Biden, and see how that goes.
You might make half your audience pretty sticky.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
I'm
here's the
joking.
thing. People always say stay away from, you know, touchy subjects. I always say market and message. So know your market. If your market is that way, and you want to lean into it, that's okay. Just know you might tick off a lot of people. but some industries are okay with that. I'm serious. There's industries out there that are fine leaning into one direction or the other, whether it's politics, religion, whatever the case may be. I mean, good example, big example, Chick-fil-A. They lean into it.
Isaac, since our other attendee is not here for the other hot seat, would you mind for us to pull up your Instagram for Tempered Coffee?
Oh man, yeah. I'm just gonna tell everyone on this call, like the reason I'm on this call is this is the biggest soft point in our entire business structure. We are bad at photography, bad at marketing content, and that's what I shouldn't say bad. We are not native savants at this stuff. I'm an operations process person. Tom's organizational and IT. Also, my sense of humor, hilarious, not on brand. That part of my personality doesn't get into it, and so I don't have the creative juices that I do have don't often translate. But
that's okay.
Yeah, open it up, because I do have one other question that I was kind of just posed to the group, to the professionals and the other business owners on here. Y'all mentioned how like regular people have a reach of 250, which I strongly agree with that. Me and Tom, when we do paid promotions, we just do like $150 little boosted postings and stuff. And we've talked about doing like $25 to 6 of our friends to share a post.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually think that like, kind of win at home. I mean, we're still at such a micro scale. I mean, we have 100 likes or followers, for spending $150, I was like thinking that might be better, and just doing like micro influencers, within our groups and stuff, and our friend groups and friends of friends, and then our alma maters and our social groups and stuff. And I don't know, I just think, I don't know if anybody's ever tried that or what they thought of that or whatever, but.
Yeah. So,
So what was the question?
Instead of doing pay, like a general promoted post, pay to have already existing followers, like we'll pick them out, like based on kind of their Instagram presences, and pay them to share a post. Just directly be like, hey, if you share that, like just direct message them. If you share this, I'll send you a 10-pack of Classic. And just share it and just be a little influencer. Do it.
So you're trying to get to influencers.
Yeah, but I don't want to do like real, like professional influencers. I want to do like micro influencers, like people who have 300 followers, but who I know are big hikers and are part of a hiking community. Like, cause they're my friend, like they're my hiking buddy. That's what he does. He works at REI. He's a general manager, and like, he's just in that thing. And hey man, I'll send you a 10-pack of Classic, share this and like it. You're and yeah, do micro influencing where it's much cheaper.
Yeah.
I actually think you could really get some traction in that conceptually.
Yeah, without question. I do like the idea of micro influencers, and you pick there's no one out there that says you have to get this huge influencer out there. Social media was built on micro influencers. I remember way back in the day, Ellie, I forget her last name, from Tots on the Go. She had a ton of moms, and moms are some of the biggest micro influencers out there. And she really ran with it. And every time she posted a stroller, everybody got engagement. And if you, I don't think she's doing her shop anymore, but if you look at some of her old videos, they still have like 20-some thousand on this Graco stroller. And there was a ton of engagement, and she did some things for some of those micro influencers. And especially back then, there was no such thing as social media influencers. There was just influencers, right? So long answer to a short question. I like it.
Yeah, good.
Right.
Yeah, and Joel, if you want to bring up our Instagram and rake me over the coals, like I'm down for that, because actually that would be very good, useful for me, selfishly.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a look.
Hey, while you're pulling that up, can I ask a question? Kind of take Isaac's question and skew it a bit.
Yeah.
and really to you, Nat, as well as Joel. What about looking at the database in RMA and those that wanted to participate? Let's say there were 20 of us that said, okay, you know what, I'll share your business if you share mine. But try to stratify it based on, okay, we've got about 2,000 followers on Facebook. So, get those that are between 1,500 and 2,500 together, right? So you're in a tier, and then you have different tiers, and maybe have 3 to 5, businesses in that tier. And then you all agree, okay, we're going to share each other's stuff, once a week, whatever, as a way to try to help increase the sharing and kind of networking and boosting each other without necessarily costing anything other than just time.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. We will definitely put that out on the community for members to collaborate. And you can, if you haven't signed on there, that's a great place for you to go back and forth and kind of match up with someone who would do that with you. So we'll make sure we put that out there this week.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's always an opportunity, particularly that, people within your ecosystem. Stephen, can I pick on you a little bit? Is Stephen there? I think he's okay if I do anyways.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. I was giving you a thumbs up. You just couldn't see me at the moment.
Oh yeah, because the screen. But we do this all the time on James River Transportation, and Stephen himself does it for whether it's wedding folks, venues, and they share each other's content or post or give them some shout outs so that they can share their audience. Definitely if people are in your ecosystem and you feed off each other, it's a great way to kind of collaborate. You'll even see this a lot on YouTube videos where people from different channels will come, guest appear on their videos. So again, long answer to a short question. Yes, I like that idea. Okay. All right, let's take a look at your Instagram. So based off that, Pat, people and Pat's engagement and pay to play, any thoughts? Anybody want to, let me see, what is your engagement there? Okay. The photography is pretty decent. I don't know why you're knocking your photography.
Well, a lot of it is we have friends who are photographers, so we send it to them to take pictures.
See this one? And this one's probably the least skilled photography, right?
Yeah.
You see the difference in numbers?
Yeah.
Because people want to interact with people, again, social media, right? And again, not to say everyone has to be people, but because obviously you want to feature your products, but sprinkle those different pets or people in there, and you'll get that boost in engagement. If you just look at even celebrities alone, when they're taking pictures of their food or whatever they're taking pictures of, or versus themselves, you'll see a huge skew in likes and engagement. Okay. It just, now there's this anomaly. Okay. There's always things that might be, they shot something really unique, or, a beautiful scene or something like that. That might change the game every once in a while, but in general, people will get more engagement, more likes than an item. Unless you have a recipe, recipes would be a good added value. Like if you're mixing your coffee with, I don't know, some unique cream and, libations or something like that.
Yeah, no, I like that.
Right. So, but the photography is fine. Here's the thing is, keep posting. Don't be afraid that you're only getting a few likes. It's still, for those 32 people, 26 people, that's mind share. A mentor of mine always says, you got to have their mind share to get their wallet share. Okay, we're bombarded by 3,000 messages a day. If we can get just a slither of that into someone's brain, that'd be huge.
What tools do you recommend or people on this call use to manage that? Because part of it is like, I don't like working from my phone. I've had, hold on, a couple of things recommended to me. Buffer as a posting staging app, so you can build like, you know, spend a Saturday and build 5 that are going to go out in the next 3 days, and then Canva as the, you know, a cheap free graphic design tool for that. I mean, is that, do other people use anything, or is everybody just using like native tools on the phone?
I sometimes use Tailwind.
Tailwind.
Yeah, Tailwind when I know I'm going to have a really rough week, because I can build it and it will automatically post for me for the week, including hashtags if I want to.
Okay.
For Instagram, we use a pay tool, but if you want to stay in that free space, Later is a really good one.
Later. I'm assuming there's like no vowels. Is it just LTR or?
I forget. It's been so long since I've used that.
It's okay. I'll figure it out.
I got like 100 different tools in my head.
I know. It's okay.
But if you go Later, Instagram scheduling, something like that, Google it, and it's smart enough to pull that up for you. Anybody else have any recommendations?
Later is spelled just like the word.
Okay.
Isaac, I do have to say, you do a good job pairing with other, organizations in Richmond and all the pop-ups. So I think that's how I found out about you. So I think it's great that you team up with food trucks and things like that and get their following to see you too. Yeah.
Yeah. Baylor, I mean, I think you were talking about that earlier about like getting a little like club or whatever. I cannot recommend it enough. I mean, one of our most successful marketing things was Perk Bonaire, is a coffee cafe, got hammered in the closing of COVID. And she just was like, if I'm going to go out of business, I'm going to go out swinging, and just went to our RMA's website, bought a case of every SKU from every local vendor and just put it up and just became a local vendor shop. And it was such an authentic community investment thing that the community really rallied behind her. And of course we were like cross posting the crap out of her because we loved it. And it's really worked. And people see our product on her shelf. That's our highest moving store shelf. And then also like the visibility of it, because people know that she has become a source of truth of local vendors. But yeah, I mean, Bonuts, the Gigi's frozen custard. I mean, these are like in a lot of little markets and stuff. Yeah, we cross post the bejesus out of them. Because again, we only have 100 of our own followers. So like when we post it, and that's like 199 of our friends and our mom's friends, I mean, it's like, so like whenever we cross post is like our real marketing. So I cannot recommend that kind of cross pollination enough for sure.
Hey, don't underestimate moms,
Yeah. Oh, there's some subscribers that are mom's friends. So I'd mail them a bag every month. So
Isaac, I'd have 2 more recommendations for you. Use more video. And again, we've done some fancy 4K videos, lights and everything like that. In retail, you don't have to be that polished, especially if it's something that's just kind of organic that happens. Just shoot it. The biggest thing is just lighting. You're not talking a whole lot, so your biggest concern is lighting more so than sound. I would shoot some video, especially if you're doing something that's out in the ocean. You're giving folks that 3 seconds, 5 seconds of Calgon. Some of y'all might not know what the heck I'm talking about when I said that. They had this commercial called that said, Calgon, take me away, right? It just kind of puts you in this happy place. Mm-hmm. So put people in a happy place for just that 3 to 5 seconds that you already do, but maybe in a 5-second clip. And also the algorithms just love video more. If you saw on the other one, there on Beasties, it gets so much more traction. And then I don't know how much you boost posts.
Not a lot.
Yeah, that may be an opportunity too. And I think anybody in retail has an awesome opportunity for contest or giveaways, because it's pretty, that lead generation is pretty low for you, I think, potentially. So maybe there's some giveaways that you could give.
Nat, since you brought up giveaways, would like a suggestion be maybe with one of the food trucks for Isaac's example, say like if you follow us and you follow Gigi's, then you know, comment on this picture and we'll choose one of the people who comment. Is that a good way to go about that? And they'll win a pack of coffee and a cup of custard. So then you're getting your following, growing your following. Is that a good way to do that?
And Joel, to piggyback
Potentially.
on that, we
Go
talked
ahead.
about shares, like in shares on each post. Would that be like, I was going to ask that, like, what's a good way to generate those shares?
First and foremost, Mackenzie kind of outlined a little bit as good value, good content. That's number one. So focus on that before you do the gimmicks, right? Because otherwise, if you start doing that initially, you'll get, I find a lot of folks just get caught in giving stuff away and they can't get engagement until that happens. But first and foremost, good content, good value. Number two, if you're going to do it, it gets a little tricky. You make sure you have to have some type of randomizer. I have a client who owns a brew pub and he has to do some type of randomizer unless you want to get into a whole bunch of legalese that you have as far as contest goes.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, thank you, Amanda and Isaac, for letting us look into your Instagram and dive in there. And hopefully everyone else could apply some of these suggestions and knowledge from both Nat and Mackenzie. Does anyone have questions maybe on some points that Mackenzie shared or Nat as well?
When you guys are talking about engagement, do you still find value in stories and highlights when it comes to engagement? I feel like by the time I learn something, it's changed and it's no longer useful. So when we talk about our best bang for our time, are stories and highlights still helpful?
Stories are still very helpful. It's a great way to share small bits of information that people can easily access. So I think that would still be a really good place to put some time and just make sure what you're posting there is valuable and is consistent with what you're posting on your actual feed. And I think that's a great place.
And you also have some opportunities for call to action too, particularly on Instagram, where you can swipe up and direct people. So.
Okay, so if you're a real novice at, what would you think would be the top, I mean, obviously other than Facebook, I mean, what are the top 3 sites or interaction things that you should do? Top 3 for a, just, you know, sorry for all you pros out there, but I mean, can you just give me the top 3? I mean, should it be Instagram? Should it be what, you know, just what are the top 3?
Kay, I know your business a little bit. Are you still doing the training game, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Facebook, I think you have to be in LinkedIn because of the space you're in.
Oh, well, definitely then. Yeah, okay. No, it's all right. I'm in LinkedIn and Facebook, but I mean, I'm not in Instagram. I'm not in, you know, any of these.
Who's your buyer?
Any idea? I'm not doing podcasts yet. And so.
That's a great one if you're willing to be patient and you're willing to do the work. That's a lot of work. I did it for a year and I stopped just to show you how much work it is.
Oh, really? Okay. Okay.
It's where I was trying to interview people. So it was booking the interviews and all those things. But if you're just doing straight podcast, that's not as bad. But again, who's your audience? Who's your buyer?
Well, since we have an oversized training game that brings people together to learn. And the problem, obviously, in this year has been no longer can people get together to learn, or at least, well, we're going to do something with the Virginia Government Housing Conference, where we're going to do it online, like a Zoom thing, where I'm going to have the board hanging up and we're going to have players on a Zoom thing. So we're trying to evolve.
Right.
However,
But yours is a B2B play. So who's the actual buyer?
It has been companies that want to train their teams. That has been the buyer. But what I want to do is go into more interaction with because I'm a speaker, to be able to share some things with folks without, not necessarily doing the game, but, trying to help women build confidence, that type of thing. So I just know whatever that platform might be, but you think podcast might be too hard, but just short little videos on YouTube?
That was the next thing I was going to say. I would say YouTube, and that's why I was asking who's your audience. So if you're going to give tips like that, YouTube is still a very powerful way to get your message out without having to do a lot of complicated things with podcasts, because there's a distribution side, there's a post-production side. I think that's a little actually harder than just doing straight video.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Nat. Anyone else have any general questions?
Hey, this is Stephen. One comment that I would make, and this is kind of what Nat had taught us a bunch of years ago, but we've heard y'all talked about a lot of videos and things of that nature. And some of our early videos that kind of we did on ourselves, if it was like a selfie and the camera was right at your face, then the sound was just okay. But if it was, trying to shoot something, there's a little bit of distance, not having a microphone was it presented problems. You just couldn't hear very good. It was that echoey sound. So, we do a lot of training videos ourselves. Sometimes they don't get posted, but even our training videos, we found we do with our phone. And the video quality is okay for training. Video quality, like Nat was saying, was good for phones nowadays are pretty high quality. But what's lacking always is the sound quality. So we invested, less than $100, I'm sure, for a wireless microphone that attaches to your phone, and the quality is just so much better, because again, the video is already there. So if you're telling a story, Nat's got us to tell a lot of stories about our customers and people and, experiences and things of that nature. But as you're telling stories, to me, nothing detracts more than poor quality or wind noise or background noise or things of that nature. So that would be my suggestion that we've learned over the years. And it's very inexpensive too.
Thanks, Stephen. Anyone else? Maybe one more question?
I had a question. I had read recently that Instagram is currently favoring saves on posts. And I was wondering if you had any tips on how, I guess it would be similar to like shares on Facebook, but tips on how to get like more saves on an Instagram post.
Saves, S-A-V-E-S?
Yes. Saves, like.
So you can keep it. What's your industry, Lindsay?
So I'm with Clementine in Carytown, the resale clothing store for consignment.
So I wonder to get more saves and things like that, if you could, since you are a clothing boutique, something that you can do is maybe in one of your posts put together like different outfits or things like that, something to show inspiration. And in the content, you could say, and save this for, inspiration when you come to see us or something like that. I think with saves, it's something you'll definitely have to at least initially ask for, because that is something that not everybody thinks about doing when they're on Instagram. So just kind of training your audience to save stuff for inspiration or to come back to at a later date. Don't be afraid to ask, I think, in that space.
So what is save? I don't know what that means.
So basically, oh, go ahead.
No, you got it.
Okay.
You're rolling.
So basically on Instagram, you have the ability to save a post. And once it's like it looks kind of like a ribbon on the right-hand side. And if you hit that button, you can save it into a category. So on like my personal Instagram, I have like food inspiration where I save like recipes and things. So you can categorize it and keep it really organized. And it's basically somewhere that you can come back to and look at posts that may be way down your feed or maybe a month old, but that you want to get back to.
That only Instagram that does that?
Yes, that is specific to Instagram.
You know what, also that for Lindsay, the guy that talked about sending out little gift cards or whatever to his people, maybe you send out to people who send you a picture of the outfit that they bought from you and send them a little something. I don't know what that is exactly, but you sent, and they would be so interested. Oh, I'm now on Lindsay's, site and see my picture, and have as many of your customers send it in. It might be cool.
Yeah, definitely.
On those saves, I would encourage you to kind of really be your customer and see what they may want. I actually even save ads. So this is another reason why you want to consider pay to play, because it's like, oh no, I want to buy right now. Let's budget that. Let me go back to it. Or I just don't have the time. I need my credit card, whatever the case may be. And I actually save a lot of ads. And then I save ads just because from a professional point of view, it's like, oh, I like that ad. And also content, some motivational things I save. So inspiration, aspiration, either of those, ask your audience to some of the things that they may like.
I would say like educational too. I mean, Lindsay, I would say like looking for a hot, a hot look like in the fall, like make sure you do these kind of sweaters with these kind of bottom, or I don't know that content, but like tips and stuff. Cause I know I save like workout tips, like, stretching cues and stuff. So next time I'm doing hammies, I'll look it up. And then for me too, recipes, like earlier this thing, I'm definitely gonna be doing recipes, cold coffee recipes, hot coffee recipes, in the hopes that people will save it for later. And so, yeah, I would say for you, fashion knowledge, that's kind of referenceable for somebody to look at later might be an idea.
Thank you, guys.
That's awesome. Yeah, well, we almost are at our time limit for this morning, so we appreciate everyone being here. I think it would be great for all of us to gain a couple followers, so definitely drop your Instagram handle in the chat, and let's make sure we give each other a follow, maybe some shares and repost, and that'll get you on the right foot and keep you reminded of everything that you learned today. Thank you both, Mackenzie and Nat, for joining us and being a wealth of knowledge for our members. This will be available to replay, so you can go back and check out Mackenzie's slides if you didn't have a chance to write down any notes there. But thank you again, everyone. And we would just like to put out some feelers for our workshop number 4. The next one, like I mentioned, it's on iPhone photography, so you can take some great pictures from home with your phone without investing. But just in general, what are some pain points for the holiday season that you are starting to experience or are on top of mind? Some suggestions we've had so far are just help with organizing curbside pickup, since shipping is going to be a nightmare for a lot of people. Anything else that anyone is experiencing that we can start discussing now and planning for? Well, if you think of anything.
What if I have an Android?
Just close your business.
Oh,
I think you'll be able to learn something, Stephen, for sure. So I definitely suggest attending no matter what. Not with the emoji.
yeah, that's what my kids told me too.
Yeah, the green text messages, they're not the same.
Right.
But thank you again, everyone, for being here, and Mackenzie and Nat. And we will see you next week, Wednesday at 8:30 for the iPhone photography. It'll be November. So we'll see you then. And thanks again for joining us this morning.
Thank you guys. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Everybody, thank you.
Bye-bye.